Welcome to Python Bootcamp demo with Agentic IDE. Let's crush that next PR. You might be from a software background, or you might be transitioning from a non-software industry into a software industry. The challenges, the topmost challenges that you will face eventually is writing clean code, navigating the code reviews, mastering the version control system like Git, working on effective pull requests, following team processes, debugging in team context, working on legacy code. It's one of the major challenges. Balancing speed of feature delivery with the quality and continuous learning. And last but not the least, communicating with non-tech stakeholders. All of these things can be greatly streamlined with help of Agentic IDEs. As I was talking about, whether you are transitioning from a mechanical, electrical, and civil, a completely non-software based industry into software industry, or you are moving from a related stream like business analytics or academia into industry, or you might be a project manager or a cybersecurity analyst who wants to automate your workflow. For everybody, that is something the Agentic IDE can offer. How this one-on-one works. I'll be showing the steps that I'll be following once you join with me in the one-on-one call as a brief example in this demo. So initially, I will start understanding your basics with the computers. I will be introducing the Agentic IDs and how they help to solve the problem. I'll be discussing these points one by one. I will see how comfortable you are with Git and probably give a refresher and then solve one problem with different modes of input. In order to understand these things, we have to see what Agentic IDs are really capable of. First thing is, Agentic IDs can significantly lower the barrier of entry to develop software. I'll be showing how is that possible in a couple of minutes. Next, you can generate documentation for the software that you developed. You can generate code, that's something that's a given, but you can generate it as per the logic if you want to change it. You can even write commands for the command line. You don't need to remember all the command line commands like grep, awk, sed. I know this might be foreign to you, but even these commands, the Agentic IDE can easily support you. It can debug really fast. If there is going to be an error, all you need to do is take that stack trace. In software industry, we call it as a stack trace of errors and give it to the Agentic IDE and it will be able to solve it. And finally, it can generate learning materials also. Now, it is a lot of things that I've spoken about. Next is about Git. Git is one of the essential version control software that you have to master, but in fact, there is nothing huge to master, because initially when you're diving into the industry and trying to navigate it, you are going to work with a couple of important Git commands. The most important thing is to understand how the file changes during the git push, pull, add, and committing, etc. You need to actually go through this process a couple of times, and after that you will become really comfortable with Git. So now we are going to dive into creating an inventory tracker with the Agentic IDE called Cursor. You can bring your own Agentic IDE with your own account. I'll be able to work with you and guide you with the code that you're working upon. You might be wondering, okay, what kind of guidance one might need when you're working with an Agentic IDE, because at the end of the day, if you look at what I told, it itself can create learning material, it itself can generate documentation, etc. Then what is the point of having a mentor or having a person to work with you in the Agentic IDE? The main thing is the benefit that I provide is a little bit different. As you'll see that when I start working on this fictional problem, creating an inventory tracker, you will understand what kind of challenges you might face when you are working on a problem inside the Agentic IDE. So let's now dive into that, and I will explain to you on the project itself. The target here is that we need to decide the details of the items and its inventory, how it is going to be tracked. Second, we need to decide on the front end. So what kind of front end are we going to use? Third, we need to decide whether it is going to be single line inputs or it's going to be bulk input. And finally, we need to decide how we are going to process it at the backend. These are very simple 4 lines, correct? But when you start working on a problem, even this 4 lines will take time for you to figure it out, because you might be new to software, or even if you are not new to software, you might be in a stream of software development where you never worked on this steps. That's where I will come in. And next is the different kind of inputs. If you're going to work with CLI, if you're going to work with kind of a web-based application, how to deal with this, there also I'll be able to provide you some feedback. So this is just a beginning. So let us now dive in and work in the cursor IDE. Let's open the folder. So when you open your cursor and cursor IDE, and you have already signed in using your account in the cursor web page, after this you have to just click on open folder. It will open the folder and you need to go to the folder where you are going to work. So this is the place I am going to work. This particular code that is going to be created will be shared to you guys in the description below, so stay tuned for that. Let's once it is opened, you will see it's a blank page. I need to use the Control L shortcut key so that I can get the chat composer here. I'm going to directly dive into creating the inventory tracker. So I'm going to say I would like to create an inventory tracking software which has Flask based front end, Flask based backend, sorry, with front end styled with Bootstrap CSS. The inventory materials are electronics. So I'm just making up the products, which has name, name, quantity, domain. Instead of domain, see, these kinds of challenges will arise time to time. We can say category, sector, and application, etc. Application. As we have already decided that we are going to have a Flask-based backend and front-end style with Bootstrap, then it's going to be a web application. So you can still have the web application converted to GUI later using different kinds of software, but as of now, don't worry too much about that. We will go with this basic setup. The input will be given over the form, in the web page, and the backend will be SQLite database. This is what I'm asking, and I can actually take this prompt and I can go to Composer, where it will build the entire thing without your interference. It will do all the building by itself, creating the files, etc. But I am preferring to go with chat, because when you are starting to use the IDE, you have to be in control. You should know what problems you are solving and how you are solving, and also check whether the IDE is solving the problem the way you want. Sometimes what will happen is, when you take this particular simple looking prompt and you start creating the files, you will realize it becomes complex very fast. So it's better to have the things in your control, and that's where I come in. I share the knowledge that I have got from varieties of back and front end developments. Apart from that, the knowledge of AI models themselves plays a huge role. So I provide the benefits from that aspects. So I'm going to execute this, and you will see that it starts generating the code. Not just one code, it will start generating a lot of files. So you can see it's starting to create the create the folder structure, and then it's starting to create the database. It starts the main Flask application. I'm going to zoom out a bit. So it has started to create the base template. I have zoomed out, and I'm going to expand this a bit. So it is creating the HTML base template. It has done all the work, and now it has completed, and it is stopping right now. So once you scroll back to the topmost update, and if you look at it, you will see this file update, file structure update. You need to replicate this exactly here. So you need to create two folders. So start by creating two folders. I'll be walking you through like this when you are going to create your own projects. Why this is important? So one more thing, be very careful on how you create the folders. Delete it, delete permanently. You need to create the folder in the root, correct? So not on the static. So templates, right? You saw how if I click on this and if I click on the new folder, it will create a new folder inside the templates folder. So be careful about that. So here I need to create it inside the static folder, and inside the static folder I need to create CSS, styles.css, right? And I have created that right now. Next, I need to create base.html, index.html, and add item.html. So I need to create all these three here. I'm being a little fast here just to save time and also ensure that you understand what exactly will happen once you are working on your own problems, right? The point I want to make here is that the more you practice smaller and simpler problems, it will become much more easier for you to work on more complex problems. So this is a small problem that you're working upon. So this is the main app application, the Flask application, and this is the database that we are going to create. In fact, you don't need to create these files. You can actually let the chat interface itself to create it. However, initially when you are doing the work with the Agentic IDEs, I would prefer that you do it manually. You create these files and make the Agentic IDE to fill the files with the data. Okay, that will be much more easier. So first thing is you need to update the database.py. All you need to do is click on apply, and it will show in which files you want to apply. So click that, and it will start updating the code. Take this code and it will fill it here, and you can see that it is giving a green update. So just say accept. That's it. You don't need to do further anything else. And if you scroll down, you will see that this is just a function. If you are from Python background, you can initially recognize that this will be used in another one file. So let us see where it is getting used. Next, you can see the main application, that is app.py. So go click on app.py. It will open up in this area. Let me move it a bit and let me apply. It will show where I want to apply that, and it applies here, and you can see that it is the SQLite database, etc. is getting created and used here inside the app.py. Just a minute, you can see that it is getting initiated here. The initdb is used in the app.py. So execute. Next, scroll down. Base template. So you have to click on base.html, apply base.html. It will again fill it. You see, it's a very simple task, right? You might still think that, okay, what is the purpose of going through this step by step? You can let the IDE itself to do it. Again, if there is going to be any challenge, then you will not be able to figure out why that challenge happened. So that's why you need to follow this process. Nowadays, it has become well known that you can actually create a lot of applications using Agentic IDE. But when you yourself try it, then you will time to time hit a roadblock. And that is mainly because of these kinds of challenges that you miss. So we are going to update on the add item.html. So I am updating this. Right now what is happening is I'm working on the files, new files without any data already available. But as the system and the software becomes more complex, you will start editing the files, and that's when you will need to be really careful on what is getting edited and how it is getting edited. At this moment, the entire files have been updated, all the data is available right now, the code has been updated. Next, we need to start updating this commands. In my case, let us make this a little smaller. In my case, I already have Flask installed in my root Python installation. So all I need to do is right now type python app.py. Once I do that, that should spawn a server. So you saw that it is spawning a server. If I click on this by pressing the control key, you will see that it is opening a web page, and you can directly see that the inventory list has been created. Yeah, it was really fast. And you can add the item, and you can start adding the item. You can say electronics 1, quantity 12, category, you can say home appliances, and sector is going to be kitchen, and application is going to be dishwashing. Right, so add the item, and the moment I add the item gets updated here. So it's a pretty straightforward, good looking inventory tracking system that has been updated. Now this has a very simple interface, correct? It doesn't have a way to actually subtract or add anything to it. It doesn't have any way to track the cost. That's not added. You can also start adding or connecting the order number with respect to the each of the name. It doesn't have an item ID. So there are lots of things that you can add, right? This is a very basic beginning starting point I have made. One important update that I can do is I can actually create a way to do a bulk update, right? So what I can do is I can take this, copy this, I can copy this, go to the cursor ID, and I can say I want to, so now I'm going to edit the files. So you'll be seeing what happens. I want to create option to make bulk inputs. Bulk inputs of inventory from a CSV file. CSV file is basically a text file. The example data will look like below. And the same thing that I copied from there, I'm just pasting it. I'm just adding some comma so that it can actually understand what's happening. As you can see that I am trying to develop the logic as the output is getting generated by the Agentic IDE. It's not something that I had in my mind already. Okay, the entire plan that you're seeing, it's all done ad hoc. I'm going to do this, and now what it will do is it will actually work on the existing files, and also it will update new files also. So let us stay tuned and see what happens. So now it is going to start updating new files. So it is starting to update the app.py. Okay, it is adding a new root. So it's doing some processing, and so that you can add the multiple lines of inventory onto the data, and it is updating the HTML it has updated a couple of files right now. So it is giving us the feedback on what is happening, right? Let us go up and let us look at the file. You don't need to understand what the file is doing. All you need to do is ensure that you click on the file that it is showing here and then apply. And it will immediately see that the additions that are happening. So the green are the additions that are happening. So this is very important. So once you click accept, the file is updated. You don't need to really understand the logic right now. Okay. Next is the upload csv.html. This is a new file. Okay. And it is telling the new template for CSV upload. So you need to create a new template. Okay. Or you can actually go here and you can click on this. You can see that this upload csv.html will get created now. So you saw it got automatically created. This is what I was talking about. So it got created right now. And next is the base.html. So you go to base.html, click that and then apply. So you'll see that it added some additional information here, right? That's it. It was just a single line and it has been implemented. Wonderful, right? The most important thing is we need a CSV file. So I can say generate an example 10-row CSV file based on the below data format. So now I am going to ask the Agentic IDE itself to generate the CSV file. This process of looking at the input and looking at the output and then modifying the input is a pattern that you will follow extensively in working with Agentic IDE. So this file has been created. You can actually apply. The moment you apply, it will actually go and try to apply on base.html. So be careful. You have to just copy this. You better create a new file. So you create a new file. You can say data bulk.csv and then you can paste it here. So whatever data was taken from here, it got pasted here and it got saved. You can click on file and you can enable autosave. And right now it has been saved, and after this you have to close this. It's not required right now, and you can open and you can, okay, anyway, the server has updated, but still I'm restarting the server and I'm opening it. You can see there is a new button here and I can click on this. It's going to tell me what is the CSV format and it's asking me to upload a file. So choose this file. I need to go to inventory tracker. I'm going to select CSV file and then upload. You can see that it uploaded all the data and your inventory is up and running. Can you even believe it? That's how you work on an inventory tracker software. It did not take even 5 to 10 minutes. It's not just that. If you go back and if I again open the chat, click on this chat history, and now I can say update the above application creation process as a Markdown document. I will save it in inventory tracker.md. So the moment I tell this, it will collect all the things that it did till now into a Markdown format. All you need to do is copy it. You can see that it is actually creating that entire file, but you have to copy it and then paste it in the inventory tracker documentation.md. So all of this information, the code, the logic behind it, the HTML files, everything will be in a single place. You can just scroll it and you can find it out. After all this is done, the key aspect will be to save this in GitHub Repo, because I can share this with you guys and you can actually download, clone that repo, and you can run the Flask server, and the same output you will get in your machine also. Instead of working on very complex applications initially, working on very simple applications actually makes your understanding much more clearer. And if you get stuck, then you can approach people like me, and we can guide you in a much simpler and easier fashion. So it has completed. I'm going to create the new file called inventory tracker doc.md. And once it is done, I need to just copy the message, the complete message, come here, right click and paste. So it will paste the entire stuff. Once it is done, you can go to the source control, and all you need to do is say that inventory tracker version 1 completed. Commit, and once you commit it, then you need to sync the changes so that the changes are pushed to the GitHub repo. Right, now I'll be sharing the link of that GitHub repo, and you'll be able to find out how it looks. So before that, you can see that the entire process of working on bulk input, even the single line input, working on the backend process. Here we do not do a lot of backend process. We did not edit, we did not delete, we did not try to get the pricing. We could do a lot of things right now, correct? And we can do all of these things using the Agentic IDE. And we are going to face a lot of challenges through that process, and that's where I'll be coming in. If your Agentic IDE is throwing a tantrum, we can work with the logic, understand in which part we need to modify the code, which file we need to modify, and then accordingly we can modify it at a high speed. Also, you can use this if you have your own knowledge. That's one of the things, right? Going file by file is very, very important, and doing it step by step as I did is also very crucial, right? So thanks guys, thanks for staying with me. If you are looking for the code, you will be able to find the code in the GitHub repo. The GitHub repo that you need to follow will be in Cursor projects, and so there are lots of projects that I've been working with Cursor, and the project will be updated here. If you go here, you can see the inventory tracker, which I pushed just a minute ago. You can see the update here, and this is the inventory tracker with all the details, along with the details of the CSV and the details of the Markdown format that it updated. So you can actually learn about the entire application using this Markdown also. So I believe that you have got a good understanding of how to work with the Agentic IDE and what kind of challenges you will face and how to overcome the challenges. And if in case you are still facing the challenge, you can know that I'll be here and I'll be able to help you out. With that said, I would like to leave this video and demo with 4 words, that is practice, 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 practice. See you guys. Have a great time.